reactivity. Now, before we start to the discussion, let's have first the pre-activity. The pre-activity is multiple choice. There's 5 items, and each item is equivalent to 1 point. Direction. Choose the best answer. Number 1. What is the poem? A. A piece of writing in which the words are chosen for their beauty and sound and are carefully arranged. Letter B. A fictitious prose narrative of book length, typically representing character and action with some degree of realism. Letter C. An account of imaginary or real people and events told for entertainment. And letter D. A story or event recorded by a camera as a set of moving images and shown in a theater or on television. Number 2. He is a Filipino poet. His most famous work is Like the Molave, an adult poems which won the Commonwealth Literacy Award for Poetry in 1940. Who is it as a writer? A. Jose Rizal. B. Rafael Zulueta da Costa. Letter C. R. Zulueta da Costa. And letter D. Carlos P. Romulo. Number 3. How do you know if a poem is a poem? Letter A. If you feel something that you're nervous. Letter B. If you feel something that you're anxiety. Letter C. If you feel something that you're influenced or you have the courage to influence other people. And letter D. If you feel something that you're upset. Number 4. Who writes poem is called? Letter A. A journalist is a person who creates newspapers, magazines, and etc. Letter B. A poet is a person who creates poetry. Letter C. A poet is a person who creates movie. And letter D. A poet is a person who creates story. Number 5. To whom that the poem Like the Molave is addressed? Letter A. R. Zulueta da Costa. Letter B. Rafael Zulueta da Costa. Letter C. To the Filipino citizens. And letter D. Jose P. Rizal. By the way, I am Ronaldo Cabo from Basic Mathematics 4A. And I'm going to share with you one of the most famous works of R. Zulueta da Costa, which is the Like the Molave. But wait, let us first know to whom that the poem Like the Molave is addressed. The poem Like the Molave by R. Zulueta da Costa is addressed to Dr. Jose P. Rizal, who died for the freedom of our country. He tried to fight by pen, but the hearts of the Spaniards were too hard. Rizal torn out and decided to spare his life because maybe with a drop of his blood would fall the hard stone would soak them, but we all know that stones would never change. And of course, let us know the author of the poem Like the Molave. The author of the poem Like the Molave is R. Zulueta da Costa. He is born on September 27, 1915, and he is died on January 1, 1990. He is the son of Antonio P. Zulueta, a Filipino and Spanish descent who was in the service of the Philippine government for over 30 years. On the other hand, his mother, Justina da Costa Zulueta, was a British subject of Chinese Portuguese descent and also a native of Hong Kong. He is a Filipino poet. He uses the name R. Zulueta da Costa as a writer and Rafael Zulueta da Costa as a businessman. He was a graduate of De La Salle College, now university, where he specialized in business administration. He began writing poems in Spanish and later he also wrote in English. He published his first book titled First Leaves at the age of 19. His most famous works is Like the Molave and other poems which won the Commonwealth Literary Award for Poetry in 1940. Let us take note that few months before the poem was published and released to the public, then President Manuel L. Quezon had told the youth of the Philippines that they lack strength and seriousness of purpose. Former President Manuel L. Quezon said, quote, unquote, I want people to grow and be like the Molave, strong and resilient, rising on the hillside, unafraid of the raging flood, the lightning or the storm, confident of its own strength. And now that I have already discussed the brief background information about the author and the poem itself, I will be now presenting an excerpt from the poem Like the Molave by Zulueta da Costa. Here is the first part of the poem. Not yet, Rizal, not yet. Sleep not in peace. There are 1,000 waters to be spanned. There are 1,000 mountains to be crossed. There are 1,000 crosses to be borne. Our soldiers are not strong. Our sinews are grown flaccid with dependence, smug with ease. Under another's wing, rest not in peace. Not yet, Rizal, not yet. The land has need of young blood, and what younger than your own, forever spilled in the great name of freedom, forever blade on the altar of the free. Not you alone, Rizal, O souls and spirits of the martyred brave, arise. Arise and score the land, shed once again your willing blood, infuse the vibrant red into our anemic veins until we pick up your Promethean pulse and song out of the deathless matrix of your faith in us, and on the silent cliffs of freedom we carve for all time memorial dream, until our people seeing or become like the Molave, firm, resilient, staunch, rising on the hillside, unafraid, strong in its own fiber, yes, like the Molave. So here in the first part of the poem, it aims to tell the Filipinos that they should not just stand idly by and do nothing. There are a lot of things that we could do on our own or with our own fellow countrymen. It aims to tell that we should work and patronize our own country, the Philippines, and not live being just dependent on other countries' assistance. That's why the poem tells us that we should be like a Molave, a strong tree capable of living on its own, that we should be a country that's strong and prosperous enough not to need or just merely rely on the other nation's help. Moving on to the second part of the poem, not yet, Rizal, not yet, the glory hour will come out of the silent dreaming from the 7,000-fold silence. We shall emerge saying we are Filipinos and no longer be ashamed. Sleep not in peace, the dream is not yet fully carved. Hard the wood, but harder the woods. Yet the Molave will stand, yet the Molave monument will rise, and God's walk on brown legs. Here, in the second part of the poem, it also aims to tell us, as Filipino, there is a way of making our country more prosperous place and become independent from other nations by merging all Filipino peoples to become as one in fighting for our freedom from other nations. For more information, I have here the literary interpretation of Like the Molave by Rosie Normanton. The main interpretation of the Filipino poem Like the Molave is one regarding how the people of the Philippines must work to make the nation stronger. The poem states that a region of the Philippines, Rizal, cannot yet rest, as there is still much work to be done to make the area successful. At the beginning of the poem, the poet outlines how the Philippines is dependent on the other nations and must work towards becoming independent in the future in order to support citizens. Like the Molave is also highlights the importance of the younger generation and how they must fight for their country and improve the Filipino way of living. The poet believes this will grant the nation freedom. Like the Molave is also talks about heroes and how they inspire regular Filipinos to be great themselves and join them on the quest to make the Philippines is a more prosperous place. The poem states that whilst many Filipinos are achieving great things for their country, there is still much more to be done and more citizens must contribute to the efforts. In short, Like the Molave is about inspiring the Filipino nation to improve their country and make it self-sufficient. That's all of my report. Now let's have our post activity. Post activity does 3 items and each item is equivalent to 5 points. So all in all is equivalent to 15 points. Direction. Give and answer what is asked. Number 1. Who was the former president that gave a quote-unquote to the poem Like the Molave? Number 2. Author of the poem. Number 3. What was the message of the poem Like the Molave for you and the Philippines?